Hi everyone, happy first day of Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month. I am so excited to be making this video today. I wanted to talk about why I think it's so important that Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month exists, why awareness for Tourette Syndrome is so important, and my plead and my ask for all of you watching today to go out there, share your stories, and spread awareness because, like I said, it's so important. Everybody in the Tourette Syndrome community already knows why it's so important, but to those watching that might not have Tourette Syndrome, those watching that don't have Tourette Syndrome, if you're sitting there thinking that Tourette Syndrome is just a swearing disorder, it's just the funny joke that you see on movies, it's just the funny joke you see on TV, it's that punchline that everybody falls back on when they say something inappropriate. They say, oh, I must have Tourette's, or I must have caught a case of Tourette's, which, by the way, Tourette Syndrome is not contagious. You cannot catch it from somebody. I get the lightheartedness of the jokes. I get that you might be uneducated about what Tourette Syndrome really is, or maybe you just don't care, and unfortunately, that's true for a lot of people, but that's a story for another day. But Tourette Syndrome is a neurological disorder. It makes us move in ways that we don't want to move. It makes us say things we don't want to say and say things we don't mean. The swearing part of Tourette Syndrome is real. I've made a video about it a few months back. But those living with that kind of disorder, those living with that part of the disorder, it's not fun for them. It's not a way for them to get away with whatever they want to say. It's not a way for us to get away with things that we're doing. We can't hit somebody and blame it on Tourette Syndrome. We can't say something or call somebody inappropriate and blame it on Tourette Syndrome. It's not what this is. And igniting those stigmas or encouraging those stigmas only makes it harder for those of us living with Tourette Syndrome to get by through our day-to-day and get people to believe us about why we're doing the things that we're doing. And so that's why Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month is so important. It's important because it's not only important to share our stories throughout the Tourette Syndrome community, which I am wholeheartedly a believer in, as all of my viewers already know, but it's important to get the people who don't have Tourette Syndrome to start learning about what it is, so then they can go and maybe they tell a friend. Maybe they don't tell a friend, worst case, but now they stop making those jokes. Now they realize that it's real for somebody else. And that's why it's so important for when you see not only my videos, but another person in the Tourette Syndrome community. There are so many amazing advocates out there. There's so many amazing people I've talked to in my Tourette Talk videos. Go back, find them, watch their videos, listen to their stories. Listen to how all of our stories are so different, but yet that similar, obviously, case of Tourette Syndrome brings us all together, and we can all relate to that in some way. I think every single person out there watching, with or without Tourette Syndrome, knows and can relate to having something that you might be not necessarily ashamed of, but afraid to show somebody. You're afraid to be yourself in front of somebody. Now imagine trying to sit there and hide this thing that makes you do things, makes you move your body, speaking of, trying to hide something like that from the person sitting next to you. Imagine how uncomfortable that would feel. So I'm going to have you do something for me real quick, those watching this video that don't have Tourette Syndrome. I'm going to try to bring you in a little bit so that you know what it's like and that you know what kind of sort of what we go through. And you can imagine how hard it is for somebody living with this, trying to hide it from you or somebody else in fear of them not believing them, in fear of them getting made fun of, getting kicked out of a public place. It's a real fear that a lot of people have, and a lot of social anxiety really develops around it. And that's another reason why we need awareness. And that's another reason why we have this month, to share awareness, to provoke people having real discussions and asking questions. So my challenge to you right now is to sit there, and I want you to try and not blink your eyes. Hold them open as long as you can. It's a really difficult thing to do. We all blink our eyes. We blink our eyes without control. You blink your eyes every single day. You have to. If you don't, you start to feel that sting in your eyes. You start to feel that water coming out of your eyes. Now, most of you watching probably already failed at holding your eyes open just from this little bit that I've been talking. So now I want you to not only hold your eye or keep your eyes open, I want you to hold your breath at the same time. Try not to blink. Hold your breath all at the same time. Now I want you to try and focus on as many things at the same time while you're doing all this. You're trying to pull in what I'm talking to you about. You're trying to hold your eyes open. You're probably trying to hold your breath. And I'm, again, not that I don't believe in everybody watching this video, but I'm assuming that most of you already failed at those two things already. So now I'm going to add a third level, and I want you to not blink your eyes. I want you to hold your breath, and I want you to start like hitting just something, just tapping it, kind of in a little pattern if you want to, but focus on that pattern. But don't forget to focus on holding your breath, and don't forget to focus on not blinking your eyes. Make sure you're doing all three of these things at the same time. If you mess up on that pattern that you're knocking on the desk, you need to start all over. Let your breath out, but not quite enough to where it feels comfortable. Suck it all back in right away again. Stop blinking your eyes. Stop breathing. Start tapping your hand on the desk. All of these things, these are all real tics. The holding of my breath, I do hold my breath when I tick, and the tapping is a tick of mine. Not blinking is not one. Blinking harder or more is a tick. But that's the idea that I want to invoke in all of you, is that we have all of these things happening at once, and we cannot control them. We cannot control what our body's doing. We never know when it's going to happen. It comes out of nowhere. And we never know when it's going to stop, and we never know when it's going to interrupt us, just like all the times it has done for me here. We never know how long it's going to last. We never know what other things are going to pile on top of it. Maybe it starts as the eye blinking, or for you watching, the not blinking. Then it gets invoked, or then the stomach gets involved, and then your hands get involved, and sooner or later you're ticking with every single part of your body. This is true things that we go through, and this is exactly why I'm asking all of you watching to please share this video. Share all the facts that you see going around about Tourette syndrome this month, whether it's me or another advocate. Learn something about it. Share it with your friends and family. Ask them to get involved. Ask them to start to learn about it, and really share your story if you're watching this with Tourette syndrome. Share one little fact about your story with Tourette syndrome, so really make it personal so people start to get it. That's really where we're going to start getting people to understand us, is that they need to start understanding that we're real people with real problems, and we're not just living with a joke. So my ask and my plead is that you guys share this video, tell people that it's Awareness Month, tell them a fact about Tourette syndrome. When you hear the joke that they must have Tourette syndrome because they just swore or said something inappropriate, say something. Say, hey, it's actually more than that. Blah, blah, blah. I know that's hard sometimes to say, but it's the only way we're going to get through this, and it's the only way we're going to start getting more awareness out there in groups that aren't involved with Tourette syndrome directly. We need more of those people involved so that more and more people learn about it. One other fact, or one other thing I want to bring up, is to kick off Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month, I am doing a T-shirt fundraiser. It's not this one that I'm wearing, but I designed another T-shirt on custom ink. I will be sharing the link in the comments below or in the description below of where you can find it. All the funds are going to be benefiting the Tourette Syndrome Association of America, which goes towards the research for Tourette syndrome, which there still needs to be so much more done. It goes to helping those in the Tourette community get the resources and everything that they need to live their best lives with it. So it's a great organization. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to hold my 5K this year. So this is one of the fundraisers that I'm trying to do to help raise funds, since my 5K is canceled and I won't be able to bring those funds in. Friend, help the Tourette syndrome community out, and please remember to keep sharing your stories, keep sharing other people's stories of living with this disorder, and I hope you guys have a great Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month, and as always, thanks for watching.